was kind of the one. I wonder if they're going to ban it blue, and they do.
Answered.
Well, there you go. And despite the fact that I do think 100 Thieves played quite a clean game, it was not one-sided by any means. 100 Thieves did have advantages. They did play the map very well, but Clutch, won the bottom side of the map early. Was really one good team fight away from the game going the other way. Even on that initial Baron take from 100 Thieves, had they performed a better fight, had they not all got caught by that shockwave, that's a fight that you can maybe clean up your opponents and get something advantageous off of it. So Clutch, have to kind of regroup, stay composed, and they were able to do it in the TSM series, coming back after a first game pretty serious loss, win 3 straight.
And I'm glad you mentioned the shockwaves, because I think Ryu's been the silent performer of 100 Thieves, where some days had up and down performances, Meteos consistent, Cody Sun, Aphromoo, we talk about their numbers constantly, but Ryu's kind of the guy who gets overlooked on this team, and then when he has performances like that, his Ryze, his Orianna, is really when you start noticing, oh, he's a really damn good player, and he has been for a long time, and he's up against Febiven here, who, they both played on the same team at one point, they both played in the European LCS against each other, and now we'll see if he's the one who finally gets the better of Febiven here.
Yeah, I like it's an awesome play style to watch because you have the Zeds, the LeBlancs that he used to play, but also can play those Ryzes, those Casses, stand toe-to-toe with you. So versatile Ryu is in the mid lane.
And he's also a guy who really does like to roam, who likes to take his advantages and bring them over to the other sides of the map to get his teammates ahead, which is sometimes one of the reasons that he's not going to shine individually as much.
And you could see there, Febiven looked a little stressed out. Azir and Ryze both on the table, and he's now on that Azir. He's undefeated so far this split on this champion here, currently 5-0.
But I mean, 100 Thieves are very well aware how important that pick is for Febiven. They banned it out last time, so they have to have some sort of a pick or strategy ready to deal with it this time. They know it is Febiven's probably best champion. He's been incredible on it, got his pentakill famously against CLG on it. And I'm really excited to see what the game plan is going to be.
Ryze, you assume to be the other one locked in here for 100 Thieves, and then potentially whatever pick of the litter jungler that they want, unless they really favor that AD carry matchup, but 2 are banned away right now.
There is the possibility of grabbing Trundle Ryze as your first 2 picks, which is pretty powerful core there, but at the same time, if you're trying to attack Azir early and often, utilize the Ryze W, you may want to go for something a little bit more aggressive, but they're going to go neither of those options just yet. Grabbing up the Varus for Cody Sun, which is a nice pick for Cody Sun, but it's also a takeaway from Apollo. Apollo and Hakuho have done quite well with that in the bottom lane. Morgana and the Varus, famously, that bottom lane duo was pretty powerful for them.
And I constantly think of, the Wiz Fusion special was always back in the day, the Varus, when people didn't even play it. So you have the takeaway, and now LirA, again, on this Skarner here, 100% win rate, 5 games, same as Febiven on this Azir here. So Clutch Gaming are whipping out the specials here. The
hitting them with the stats.
Got him with the classics.
Kench going to be off the bench this game. It will.
All right.
A little denial of death being played here if somebody does get locked up by that chain of corruption from Cody Sun's play. And we have a final pick here with the mid lane already being locked in. What are we expecting? Jungler?
Yeah, definitely could see a jungle pick here. If you don't go your jungle here, you're expecting to see, a lot more bans targeted toward it in the second phase. Olaf still is available, but you can leave it a second phase if you're willing to pick a number of different champions, because things like Olaf, Zac, Sejuani, even the Trundle are all available, so you can't ban them all, and as a result, they'll prioritize their bottom lane.
Exactly. I think that because there's so many S-tier junglers that you're okay with that, especially on red side in this situation. You can target ban the AD carry role here, pinch out maybe some of the top laners you really don't want to see solo on, like the Ornn again. But you have the Braum, which can deal with the Ornn, so we'll see what they go for here.
I did really like the Tahm Kench pick, though, for Hakuho. I think it makes a lot of sense, not only because of the Chain's Corruption, but also the Ryze W, and now Braum being picked into that. 100 Thieves has been a team that really likes to draft heavily for CC. And when we talk about a lot of the junglers that are options, I mean, if you ban out Trundle and Olaf, well, Zac and Sejuani both get countered pretty heavily by that Tahm Kench too.
Yeah, and giving Meteos Zac is just like, man, superstar jungler going way back season 3. So
it's got to hit him with the Elise.
Ooh, yeah. Bring that one back. But that's the thing, is it's kind of a lose-lose situation. So they go with that, and now he may probably pick the Olaf, which is a good counter to the Skarner.
It's kind of funny then that Clutch is spending those bans in the second phase when Olaf is often first rounded as an answer to Skarner already. So if you're willing to give him the Olaf, I feel like your bans are probably better spent on the top lane in this case. But Clutch, you know, they're going to have their own opinions about it, and we'll see where they go.
Yeah, even if he wants to crowd control Sejuani, but Olaf up. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? See what the AD carry on the side of Clutch could be here. I mentioned, yeah, if that Caitlyn goes over, now banned, he has the Kog'Maw and the Jhin. Well, no, he doesn't anymore. Apollo used those to great effect versus TSM, and going to be pushed back possibly onto that Ezreal now. Not too shabby, but definitely not his top 3 in the picks.
Yeah, Ezreal, right down the tier list for him. First pick, it's 9 games of Caitlyn, 5 games of Varus, 3 of the Ezreal. With
so it is a top.
All of those kind. Yeah, I was like, do I correct Riv? No. But it is a top 3 for him, but just barely. It's 3, and then everything else is 2 afterwards.
And honestly, you can go for something like a Tristana still if you felt like you needed a kind of a higher DPS style team fighting champion. But Tristana has a very tough laning phase into Varus specifically, and that is something that you kind of want to avoid. We'll see how they're going to be able to handle those with Ezreal and Tahm Kench.
Yeah, and the Sion locked in. I feel like Cho'Gath again for 100 Thieves. That's kind of the one where it's like, I feel like the Trundle plus Cho'Gath may have been better bans in the second phase here for Clutch Gaming, because the Cho'Gath gave them a lot of problems, not in lane, but more so from a macro perspective where it enabled 100 Thieves.
Well, and honestly, even in the lane, he took his turret in a 1v1, right? That is a pretty big deal, and Cho'Gath, as time goes on, becomes harder and harder to deal with in that tank versus tank matchup. There's so much innate sustain because of his passive. If you cannot push this guy off the minion wave, once he has a catalyst and he has access to a minion wave, he's basically not running out of mana or health.
Well, that's the thing, too. We saw them accelerate that. One gank up top from Meteos. They get the kill to Meteos, but still, it was a fast banner to get that turret down. He was bannering melees. He was bannering anything he could at the time if we ever saw Solo leave that lane. So they were all about getting that timing, and we know 100 Thieves wants to get to that fight phase. So we'll see if they can do it again. A bit of the same composition towards the top side of the map, but they switch up the bottom. And Clutch Gaming, I could say they get quite a bit of what they want, but not down towards that bottom lane. See the compositions on your screen in just a moment as we start to head into Game 2. 100 Thieves feeling very good with the momentum out of Game 1. Being that first place team in the NALCS, they are trying to make that true. Make that statement true, I should say.
And you got to feel good if you're Clutch as well. You got 3 champions that you're undefeated on with the Azir, the Ezreal, and the Skarner. So comfort for these guys right now on Clutch's side.
Yeah, particularly the Skarner and the Azir, 5-0 apiece on those champions is extremely impressive. And you know, while the Ezreal doesn't bring as much damage, you're pairing it with, again, a hyper carry mid laner there. And Febiven certainly can carry the brunt of the weight in team fights.
Desk was talking about it as well, saying, hey, Febiven got that Syndra, but they weren't able to kind of get him involved a whole bunch. Ryu got involved more. And so now on this Azir, we'll see what he's able to do in that mid-late game.
And if it's going to be one of those more slow early games, kind of like we saw last time, then I think the Azir is the more effective pick. If you cannot dominate lane, if you cannot bully out your opponent, just playing a farmed out style on an Azir means you're going to be super effective in team fights regardless.
And it should be a pretty good pick considering how these teams like to play. They don't play for that early game advantage. In fact, these teams really don't get much of an early game advantage. 100 Thieves in particular, they're that mid-late game macro team that know how to move around the map with their veteran shot callers of Meteos and Aphromoo. And so it's about kind of being annoying and moving around. You don't do that during the laning phase. So Clutch, on the other hand, kind of the same way, right? Where they bait objectives. And having a longer game is typically what you'll see from these two teams.
A little deja vu there from Meteos and crew as they ran straight for the same brush. Mirrored on the map, though, that undertow and vision can't be really stopped if you get hit by it. We saw them moving away, and they just get a bit of early vision control. Same has been done by Clutch Gaming, as you can see on the right side of the map. Spires grabbed, and everybody is going to be off and running.
Always nice, honestly, to be able to kind of walk over and grab a couple of those Spires and 30 gold apiece on Cody Sun and Aphromoo. It's not the biggest of deals, but
it's a CS and a half.
Yeah, exactly. it's like, yeah, it's pretty nice to be able to grab even just another potion kind of on your next base. You can pick up a couple of those Spires, and sometimes those little edges can make a difference.
Cool. I mean, it's free too, right? So. Absolutely. It's like having an extra minion in that wave.
Is that like the one thing that's actually free in League of Legends, if we consider
Still takes your time.
Free? Oh, it does take time. Yeah. That's right. Can't be free.
Exactly.
Time.
No free lunches, Riv.
Time is money. 2 minutes almost on the clock, and not a lot has happened. Go figure.
I mean, normally you expect at least a Baron or something to be done by now. These guys are slacking.
Meteos pretty low, using that passive in the jungle again. Expect a possible full clear. He leaves that top one up. And now that we have seen Game 1, send the analyst desk your overreactions. Hashtag NALCS. and they'll be reviewing them after Game 2. Be sure to get your participation caps on and start hitting some tweets at #NALCS, and we'll discuss those after the match. Maybe Clutch will bring us a series here. We're starting off top lane. Meteos still roaming around. Oh, Doki, he's going to go for a very early Drake.
Yeah, so Olaf will get very low doing this. I actually think he needs another person to come help him here. I
think you can actually survive with, because your healing and stuff ramps up at the super low HP, and you can use the smite for health. Like, you can probably actually just finish it, but they're going to come over regardless.
Yeah, making sure that he can't get hit. On the way out, he's so easy to be taken down. Plus, you're right, the smite needs a bit of extra damage.
Yeah.
Really pushing the limit, though.
I mean, that's a 3-minute Ocean Dragon, man. I'm willing to say that's probably the earliest it has ever been taken in the NALCS. I would be interested to see that stat. Maybe there's some kind of crazy game, but maybe we can get hit with that, because that is always the dragon we pinpoint as the most powerful for laning phase. And you will never get it earlier than this. Like, that is insane how much of an advantage it's going to be for the 100 Thieves team. And I just think this is really smart from Meteos with your bottom lane pushing, with this pathing. They're able to grab a 3-minute Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, it enables them, and we already saw that, like, Ryu was pushing up, and you really want to have all that extra regen and mana, and he's already bullying. It's going to enable him more. And Ssumday, same matchup as before. Look at that, Febiven.
And one of the biggest things for me is also, in tank versus tank matchups in the top lane, how impactful the mana can be. As you back off, oftentimes these guys can't really attack the health pool, so you attack their mana. You try to get them out of mana, you try to make them base at bad timings and these sorts of things. But with that Ocean Dragon, every time they're backing off, in addition to the Cho'Gath passive, which is giving him mana back too, there's just no way Sion ever gets to push you out of lane.
Yeah, you got to attack that mana instead of health, because the mana is the access to wave clear, which eventually you're out of mana, shove you in faster, and then they'll be able to roam or get a better back, like you said.
Meteos as well, Deja Vu after a first back, Talisman and Predators to get himself back on the map fast and get those ganks with a bit more damage, and he clears his Raptors once again. Always get those things off the map so you can get them more. It's not easy. 5 minutes.
That's LirA on the other side of the map, so he just took the Spire inside of the 100 Thieves jungle, so they know where he is. Definitely going aggressive.
That's a pretty good KDA.
Yeah.
17, not bad.
Not bad
real good.
at all.
You said, what, 5 games on this Azir? Able to keep that very, very high up there, and the caliber of play he brings to that mid lane is just able to kind of catapult Clutch in a lot of these wins.
I mean, it really does kind of fit his play style. They talked about it a lot on the desk, about how safe of a player it is. They're both going under 3.5's deaths on the series. That really speaks to how safe of a player Febiven is, but he's also a massive team fight contributor. He's always able to pump out the damage, and that's what makes it so impressive. He is definitely not a KDA player. He gets involved in the team fights, but he really does not give up easy deaths.
Not like in the trade. It's always one thing that a lot of people are comfortable with. Is that I can get him, but I'll go down. It's not that good. It's not that good.
Yeah, but he also knows how to play defensively in terms of build as well. You see double Dorans for him on that Azir after his first back, just to make sure that he can contest this mid lane. And now Ryu comes back with the TP, and he's also got pretty standard defensive itemization here for Ryze, but it just means his bullying is going to go even further in favor of Ryu here. And so Febiven does have to kind of find a way to save himself in this lane and kind of not drown out in this damage.
What I'm going to be really interested in is seeing, can 100 Thieves pick up this next Infernal right on spawn? Because Ryze is pushing right now in the mid lane. Their bottom lane is pushing as well with the Varus. If you can keep those lanes pushing, the 3-minute early Dragon can give you access to that early Infernal as well, and you can start to kind of snowball those neutral objectives to really establish a lead for later on. Because if all right, Febiven wants to sit back and play patient, he wants to scale up, get a couple items, Paulo wants to probably hit 2 items before he gets involved, there's going to be opportunities.
Stand aside, very nicely done. Ooh, 100 HP for Aphromoo as he gets himself a little too close for comfort there.
Yeah, Hakuho is just holding the wave there. Like you were saying, Azael, they could get 5 dragons in this game if they wanted to, right? 3 is incredibly early, so that elbow later. Ooh, nice shield.
Playing with fire.
Heal available there for Cody Sun, so not even close. But I did get confirmation that is the fastest Ocean Dragon in NALCS history. So definitely really quick on the pathing there from Meteos. There was one that was about 330 that we had.
Not even close.
Easy peasy.
It's super risky though, because you saw how low he got, and if your bottom lane doesn't have priority, exactly, if your bottom lane doesn't have priority, then you're not able to actually get it. You have to back off of it a lot of the times, and sometimes the other lane will say, wait a second, they're playing a little strange, and then they'll go ahead and stop the attempt.
Jungler just wanders over there, kills you, takes the dragon.
That has happened to every jungler.
Yes.
Solo ulting back to top lane. Teleports are up there for both Ssumday and Solo, so if anything gets chaotic, they'll be able to lock down.
Looking for a play. Almost. Ooh. But I like that because Febiven didn't use the ultimate, but he got Ryu's flash, so the next one will stick.
Yeah, hopefully. And the flash is available here for Skarner too, right? So that is quite an easy gank to pull off, but you need to see them capitalize on that because all too often in pro play, solo queue as well, of course, but in pro play, it's played at such a slower pace sometimes that these guys do not attack the summoners being down, and then you net nothing from that. So I really want to see them make the time to make that play and punish Ryu.
You know, I actually remember probably one of his voiceovers from the coach being on stage was, hey, if that flash goes down, use that 5 minutes. You don't hear people say that enough. As you were saying,
you gotta punish it.
Goes to the wayside. Exactly. We'll see if they can do that. In the Azir Skarner combo is absolutely one of my favorite. Dragging somebody back and then shoving them back even further.
The pull over. You can't
pull over anymore.
That was I believe that was these two guys as well, where
exactly.
they had the little bump with the Azir wall into the Skarner ultimate.
It's dangerous. You gotta be careful. Like you said, with that flash down, we'll be watching for Ryu's defensive plays in mid. As we're back here in the noodle fight towards top side. Not too much damage being done between these guys as they're kind of stacking the same items just to get to their tanky points in mid game.
All right, and right here, Infernal Drake in 4 seconds. Bottom lane is already positioning in a way to help out Meteos. And Clutch, they kind of sniffed this out, and they also have mid priority, but they don't have Ryu on the side of 100 Thieves just yet. So Clutch Gaming will actually have Azir here first.
Yeah, very interesting. Ryu is going to have his ult, though, so if he can push out this wave, he could Realm Warp over, and they're going to try to go for the play, remember.
Realm Warp, there he is, just a little short. Oh, it was like, do we want it? Yes, okay, go. No, wait, yes, okay, go. It seems like what happened
The collapse. You got to watch out for the collapse here. The bottom lane has priority on the side of Clutch Gaming. They could actually wrap around here, and you see Apollo thinking about it. Hakuho, he left him out to dry.
Oh, no. Predator's on him. Gets the Chain of Corruption out. He has a spellbook, so he's the cleanse on for right now. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. Gray health to come in. It is followed up with a lot more damage on the backside from 100 Thieves, and they solidify the first 2 kills of the games to Meteos and Ryu.
And LirA tries to come in to help, but he was flashless after that was forced out around the mid lane because of this Dragon Bait, because they're there on spawn, and they are now going to be rewarded with an Infernal here. 100 Thieves, a couple kills, a couple dragons, and a fantastic first 10 minutes to game number 2.
And you expected that situation to be okay for Clutch Gaming because Febiven had the advantage with Flash in mid. If Ryu shows up, you can do a Shrima Shuffle on him. And right here, Apollo got shoved out lane first. Azael. But yeah, Apollo gets shoved out of the bottom lane first. And even though he had 2 people there to potentially collapse on Cody Sun, make us 100 Thieves end up getting those 2 kills.
Yeah, they get the kills, they do get the dragon, and then following up on those flashes so big, being able to commit to those plays, really, really important.
You gotta stop muting me, Azael. You're making Riv cry. Really hard.
This is great. I'm loving it. All right, I can see again. Just about 1,000 gold here for 100 Thieves after that play, and this again starts to lead into that macro control. They say, well, if we can start running on the map and pulling you thin this early, that means the lanes are going to start falling behind. We're not seeing too much of that yet, but it usually just starts to domino very fast once 100 Thieves gets a hold of the game. Teleports are still up for Ssumday and Ryu, so they can still make their way across the map if necessary.
And this also means that Ryu's in a better spot because the action has happened around the lane and not in his lane. So he's going to have that flashback up here with that Summoner Spell cooldown, and he's going to be in an okay spot where the next Shrima Shuffle, he might be able to actually just outplay here unless they make it like happen now.
Yeah, I mean, the flash, as you said, is basically back up. Partially that is due to Summoner Spellbook because you have those shorter cooldowns, but you know, forcing out the flash from LirA kind of reduce on the play.
There it is.
Oh, he pulls it now. Oh, it's the backwards pull. Is he even going to do it? They get the stun and then the pull, not getting the consecutive crowd controls on. Beautifully done. And they do get that flash from Ryu to be used.
Yeah, that was really nice. You know, the Ryu doesn't even blow because he knows he's dead, but the TP comes in from Ssumday. You know, the Predator is blown there from Meteos, so they get more than just a kill. And despite the fact that they didn't really hit that window, they may not have even realized that the flash was back up.
Window was closed, but they broke it. They broke that glass and got in there. Ryu not blowing the flash there at the very beginning was kind of the damning factor of that. And that's how Clutch get back in the game, is they get the Azir going. They kind of abuse that mid lane. Just long range is something that, with 2 low mobility carries and this gigantic front line of 100 Thieves, that Azir is the one that you're looking to just deal most of the damage in these fights.
It's always really interesting, too, because there's so much debate on when you should pick up a QSS when you are playing Skarner, or if you should at all. You know, can you rely completely on positioning? You know, these sorts of questions, because paying that Skarner tax is something that can be pretty devastating as far as, you know, putting your team behind, you know, in far as item progression, as far as the gold that you're actually investing into that. You know, it's very expensive, especially if multiple people are buying it. And you can see Ryu did not rush for a QSS. He went for the Abyssal, which means they can continue to try to pick on him. Every time it flashes up, you can look for those guaranteed kills. Varus as well, very low mobility carry here, and he doesn't have a Tahm Kench or a Janna or something there to really kind of protect him from that. So they're going to have to really watch out for that. And there's, I think, a pretty big potential for LirA to continuously make plays every time his flash is up, every time his ult is up, and continually pick up these kills.
Absolutely. You can't shield a Skarner. He's not going to run into that and walk away. Right back to the top lane. Solo using this constantly to keep that teleport up.
Right now, you're actually seeing the trade of blue buffs. 100 Thieves, they went into the top side jungle, took that blue. LirA wanted to do the same to them because his bottom lane was pushing.
But they say no.
Exactly, but they can't. Meteos run straight across the mid lane. And now, there's a blast cone there too.
LirA's? No, he's back with
Aphromoo?
the team.
Cody is low.
Oh, flat glacial fissure from Aphromoo.
Cody
He
can't
says
help.
we are going in.
They want this.
They pull Aphromoo, and he puts himself right in the frying pan as everybody turns for the fountain.
I mean, that's just a facepalm moment. Cody Sun was pretty low on health. He was not blast coning over as he could have flashed in at half health. Like, he can't really follow up there, so Aphromoo.
But how good did that ult look?
The ult was on point.
Oh,
yeah.
The stuff that happened after the ult was less on point. I mean, a couple summoners down, and he gives up his life.
And they get this blue buff here going over potentially. We'll see in just a second. But yeah, Cody Sun would have had to flash ulti to even contribute in that. And it looked like he was contemplating it, but the 2 big shot callers, Meteos and Aphromoo, they said to make a play. It looks like it backfires.
Yeah, well, it was a play. It was a play. But either way, you know, LirA, he doesn't get the blue buff, but he does force
let's see
his opponents to take it away. Here it is again. So I think is he? No, I mean, Cody Sun wasn't even close to it. And Cody Sun is pretty far away from the play. He's at about 40% HP. Yeah. I mean, really, it's not his fault. I don't think he can follow up very well on that. You know, Afro just misjudged the situation. Perhaps he thought Ryu was realm warping in sooner. Perhaps he thought Cody Sun was on the blast cone. There obviously was a misjudgment of the situation, and it's going to look ugly sometimes when that happens.
Yeah, right there, it looked like Cody Sun, if he flash ultis, he can maybe contribute, but it's still not going to be good. And if he went towards the blast cone, right there, they had vision on Clutch's side. Apollo threw a Q and a W in that path, so Cody Sun would have been even lower if he had actually gotten to the blast cone.
And I mean, if you flash ult over the wall and LirA flash ult to you, then you're probably just dead instantly too. So would have been tough, but either way, it is just 1 kill and it is just a support death. So not going to be game deciding.
No, but you gotta imagine the nerves. You just remember Febiven's play as well. Guys, I'm teleporting in. I don't have that TP, right?
Exactly.
So it's really tense for these guys.
But you do have to worry now if you're Aphromoo, because you don't have your summoner spells, and the dragon is coming up, and 100 Thieves are just trying to cycle this dragon area over and over again, get their backs in right before, and try to make something happen.
I mean, they've been doing a really good job timing, and here comes Meteos with the Predator popped.
Oh, he locks it early. Can he actually get away from the last blow hit? No, he gets taken down that time. The Glacial Fisher's going to alley-oop that one to be knocked down by Cody.
And this is perfect. They can push up, pressure this turret, and even go back towards that dragon with Hakuho dead. LirA is in the area, and Febiven and Ryu look like they're kind of skirmishing, both moving down towards bottom lane.
Clutch Gaming definitely trying to flex some muscles here. And it does not look like they will be able to do any lifting. 100 Thieves backs up just a little bit, and still no kind of play from the top laners here within these fights. It's been towards the bottom mid lane.
Yeah, but right now, that back for Cody Sun is huge. He had 2,000 gold. He's going to finish up that Rage Blade, buy his boots, buy a little bit more on top of it. And all this stuff's been going on the bottom lane. The top lane, Banner of Command has been completed for Ssumday, and he's almost got this turret. He's almost got the first turret of the game by himself.
Yeah, I mean, again, and look at this. He's just taking it up. He actually might just kill him here. Oh, nice. All the immune the rupture.
Oh, my. Almost makes it through. could get the Rune Prison on. He's going to be close enough in just
got the Blast Cone.
moment. Blast Cone, he's got the red.
Clean.
Goes straight down, but that's going to be a little bit of help from Febiven. Yes, it is.
That was
He
clean.
gets himself out very clean. High octane solo.
Not even a flash blown there. Solo immunes the rupture with the ultimate. You are unstoppable when you pop that. Unfortunately, he's going to lose his turret. That kind of sucks, but still cool play, though.
Played the best he could in that situation to get out. So, yeah, absolutely. Get Ssumday's flash as well.
It's all about the coolness of the play this round, not the after, not the cost.
Yeah, but let's talk about the after effects here. They
A
get
little
the top
bit.
turret, solo gold onto Ssumday, and then they get the third Drake on the bottom side here. 2 oceans for him. It's a laning phase that's been going in 100 Thieves' favor. Just going to go even further in their favor here.
Ocean Dragon first turret, probably worth more than the Reddit play, but you can just clip that out when you upload it, and people don't have to know about all that other stuff afterwards.
Yeah, cut the tape. Classic montage strategy.
Exactly.
And we'll see here, because like now, what's in it for 100 Thieves next? Because right now, Ssumday got that top turret by himself. Swapping the lanes and getting Rift Herald seems to be what you would want to do, but Ssumday's the one that has pressure.
And Meteos is down here on the bottom side, so they can continue to just kind of keep that an isolated top lane and look to pressure this bottom lane turret. Meteos camping here. They could look to just straight up push up. Yeah, Ryu is coming down here as well. They are going to give up some time in mid lane to Febiven, but with this many down on the bottom side, Hakuho and Apollo have to play it so carefully that they're likely just going to lose the turret.
Yeah, 100 Thieves so ready to take
nice
a
ult.
fight. Items abound in their inventories. 2 Abyssal Masks to shred for both Ssumday and Ryu as they get together. It doesn't look like they'll be a part of this one, but 100 Thieves is ready across the board in whatever lane. They are starting to take these engages. 1 minute onto that Baron, as we're not even up to 20 minutes just yet. And that 3,000 gold lead in favor of 100 Thieves.
And we talked about it in the last game where Ryu really does show up on these champions like Orianna, and normally he's kind of like almost the invisible mid laner that's doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And now with the Ryze, once again, that signature champion for him here that he's been playing so much, his Ryze split pushes are really clean, and now they're going to put him in a side lane that is very hard to answer from Clutch Gaming because they don't have like another teleport or a semi-global to answer it, while Ssumday is already pressuring his matchup.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, even if Febiven goes to answer Ssumday, he can't answer that banner very well here either. We do have dematerializer charges, but Solo's down to 2. Only 1 banner will remain. 2 cannons enter, 1 cannon exits.
Well, there will be more, unfortunately. And it's going to be a pickup from LirA here. A little bit of control for Clutch Gaming on where they can direct that. Bot lane looks like it could be going down, so they may be able to get 2 consecutive turrets and a nice influx of gold in their pockets. That Nashor's is finished for Febiven, so he's at kind of a spike point for himself with that Rod of Ages here. Feeling pretty good. A little short on the brown bag boots, though. Once he gets those, he'll be good.
Yeah, gotta get your Nikes. Gotta upgrade. But Febiven looking good. You have 2 items now completed for Apollo, so these guys are really kind of getting fight ready. The question becomes, as you know, as Zirene pointed out, how much stronger this team is going to be at split pushing and kind of spreading the map.
Yeah.
Does 100 Thieves even give you the opportunity to group and fight? Because they're knowing that Febiven wants that 5-man fight, that wants to be sitting in the back line, fighting front line versus front line, and they may just not even give them the opportunity by pushing lanes, by forcing you to answer that, and then looking to bait around an objective as they did in the previous game.
Yeah, the 1-3-1 would be very strong for 100 Thieves, playing that annoying macro style. And even if they did group up for fights, the carries are pretty much even on gold now between the mid and the bottom lane, but it's those tanks for 100 Thieves. Meteos and Ssumday both have almost 1,000 gold over their counterparts each, and that's where a lot of this lead is actually residing for 100 Thieves, is in those tanks. So even playing frontline to backline, you're going to have a stronger frontline on 100 Thieves that can take a bit more damage from that Azir and allow your team to kind of have more time to dish out their own.
Yeah, and Cho'Gath really kind of messes up the math there too, because if it was just a more standard tank, and then you're looking at, okay, well, can the Ryze or the Azir put out more damage? I think the Azir definitely can, but when you have up to 1,000 true damage coming out from a Cho'Gath, that really messes up the math on things.
Pretty unfair for tanks.
Yeah, your tank dies pretty quick.
Gotta know the positioning, gotta make it yours. That's kind of the thing in this one. You see, whoever ults first is kind of the loser in this fight. It's not always the case, but it feels like those ults can be routed unless Febiven hits that 4-man shuffle, that 5-man shuffle, then things are a little bit different. Clutch Gaming now organizing in mid to get that cleared down and get protection over the rest of their map. Good hits onto Cody Sun, down to half HP. True Shot Barrage just blocked on the left side. Aphromoo is actually able to collect that, oddly enough. And Cody Sun prevents, or he gets prevented for a lot of damage.
And Ryu was just pushing in the side lane, so Clutch felt like they had to try to force something there because they're losing minions in the side wave. We may see them go down to bottom lane as that is going to get shoved into them. Looks like Ssumday is going to be the one to go and grab it, but no more dematerializer charges left on Hakuho. He's used all of his, and there's only 2 remaining on solo. So especially if the Baron does go over to 100 Thieves again, we could see some super effective banner minions.
Like this one. Ha! Nicely done. He'll just go through this roundabout here. See how big Ssumday is at this point. 6 minions chomped.
So only the minions.
Only the minions.
Yeah, wasn't able to make it to any of those Drakes or the Rift Herald, which went over to Clutch Gaming. So
has a ways to go.
Yeah.
Get himself
I mean,
nice and big.
He has room to grow.
Always. His opponent Solo actually playing very well from the top lane lately. We wondered kind of what could happen with what used to be this team of Apollo, Hakuho, and Solo with a few different people on the team. I should say LirA, rather. And really mixed and matched the game up for him. And Solo's been able to kind of hold that lane as is, making a name for himself in Solo.
I mean, they've made the semifinals, so even in improvement, split over split for the 3 core from the previous Envy roster, 10th to playoffs to now semifinals after their 3rd.
And they did it in historic fashion, right? The TSM had never been knocked out before the finals. They are the ones to knock them down. The 100 Thieves are looking to make some history of their own. Yes, there is some experienced players on this team, but as you pointed out, Meteos has not won in a very long time, and this team is a brand new organization coming into the league. This is their first split. They are looking advantageous in this game. They are up 1 game in the series, and they want to be the first team to kind of grab a new championship. And
they were all pretty power ranked really low in terms of, nobody's expecting them to be top 2 for the most part. It's a lot of TSM, TL, and preseason power rankings. 100 Thieves, with this roster that had so much veteran experience on it, question was always, how are they even going to come together? Well, apparently the answer was coach the split probably, along with these players stepping up and feeling like they can slot in at the right places and find how to play this game. It's working out for them so well. They got #1 during the regular season, and they've just been dominating so far in terms of macro game over the other teams.
I think one of the really cool things, too, for me has been watching the growth of Cody Sun. Is they're going to look for an engage on him.
Ooh, flashes out. Abyssal Voyage comes through. That would have been one hell of a party for Cody Sun. Great choice to flash and keep himself safe.
Yeah, but Cody Sun has just been getting better split over split, year over year. When you look back to spring, many people considered him to be one of the worst AD carries in the league. Then he makes it all the way to Worlds in summer, and people are starting to give him more respect. And a lot of people will come away from Worlds remembering that kind of fateful Tristana play that did backfire. But he has been improving massively. He's much better this split. When you look at him statistically, there's definitely an argument that he is the best AD carry in the league. Yeah. And it just feels like the sky is the limit for this guy.
Exactly, and he got the all-pro team, first team this split for the AD carry role. His numbers have been fantastic. The fact that he always brings the damage, and that's what you really look for in AD carries, is late game, don't die during the laning phase, be very hard to exploit, and show up in these team fights. It's usually what teams really want to have, and Cody Sun has that in spades. He provides a ton of damage for his team in the late game, and I even remember this guy from Challenger being the Massacre 8 back in the day. When he came over, it was like, man, this guy feels like he's actually okay, not like LCS ready, but then when he came into the LCS, we saw that he was just improving every single week, like you were saying, Azael, and now we're seeing him at the top right now.
And it was interesting, kind of, you wondered,
it's a
trap. I wonder what'll happen here. Quick push back.
But there's nobody there.
Gets himself to safety. I don't think anybody else is going to join into this fight. But you look at Cody Sun was with Ole. And the question there when they separated, was it Ole? Was it Cody Sun? And both actually turned out to be very good players in their own rights. And I think the pressure was on Cody Sun there to show that, too.
It definitely was. A lot of people were saying, no, Ole carries that bottom lane. Yeah. It's because of him. But here he is again. He is playing with a fantastic support as well in Aphromoo.
Yeah.
But he's been very successful once more. And I think it's a great opportunity to join a team like this that has so many veterans who can teach you, can kind of show you all the ropes and have so much experience and so many times where they've played through these situations that any new player is going to struggle with.
Yeah, and Aphromoo even said, like, he was surprised by Cody Sun, that this guy is a beast, that he always brings the damage, that he wants to actually, Aphromoo wants to make him look even better than he is, because he's like, this guy just needs people protecting him, and he's always going to do his job. He's not scared, and he's able to step up and put out that damage, and so Aphromoo has sung his praises pretty much since day one, being really surprised.
Well, he's got it in his name, Cody Sun. If you can evolve around him, good things will happen. in the game. Most of the time. We'll put most of the time. Good identifier.
I was casting
there.
with Riv, not Freak.
It wears off. He sits close.
Yeah.
3 Quicksilver sashes now. Exactly. In the hands of 100 Thieves. This makes it a tough game for LirA. What's his target? Who's his target? You can't even grab Meteos. Do you really want to drag Ssumday into your team?
Well, you can't drag any of the 3 other people because they all have QSSs, right?
Exactly.
So it's like you have to grab Ssumday. Don't drag them towards your AD carry or, Azir, because they're just going to get nommed, but grab somebody.
I mean, one of the things that it can sound kind of funny to be ulting a big tank like a Cho'Gath, but at the same time, if you can create this space with Solo is kind of ulting in towards them and buying a little bit of time, and you pull Ssumday back in the rest of your squad and have everyone focus him down, all of a sudden those tanks can become more vulnerable. But besides that, yeah, I mean, there's not even a lot of CC to force out those QSSs besides that, because it's essentially no CC mid laner, no CC AD carry. Is Tahm Kench really going to get a stun in team fights? Probably not. But at the very least, you have to remember, they're all paying the tax. They're all paying the Skarner tax. This is itemization that they would otherwise not really want to buy, and there is value in that.
Yep. We're trying to think of where all this started to happen. A lot of Meteos getting in the jungle. We remember a lot going on of early Drake in this game, and then we saw that catch on Hakuho. They got split going down, and that kind of started to open things up as the bot lane focus paid off for 100 Thieves. And again, that's what we thought this would be a lot throughout the series, is on Cody Sun, Afro, and Apollo Hakuho.
Yeah, it was a bottom lane focus where Hakuho ended up dying multiple times, but the top lane left on an island, and Ssumday had the Cho'Gath again, which we talked about in the ban phase. Maybe should have been a ban because it was such a menace in the last game, winning the lane and helping 100 Thieves with their macro.
At the very least, I mean, if 100 Thieves take this game as well, you have to be considering, do you really want to put Solo into this matchup once more? Do you really want to be blinding the Sion into a potential Cho'Gath? Even if you're not going to ban it out, should he go for something different? Because the pace of the series has been very slow, very measured, and if you're going to allow somebody to just slowly eke out these advantages, and in this banner war, he can just feast yours every time, you don't have that answer, he will slowly get an edge. He will slowly work down the turrets, and you can see Solo now has no more dematerializer charges.
Exactly. Just use the last one there to make sure that he could kind of keep up in that banner versus banner war. So if a Baron goes over to 100 Thieves, which they're in prime position to start getting that with Ryze rotations with the ultimate and also with the Cho'Gath, then it could be disaster, and your base is going to be in an awful position for clutch gaming.
Ssumday is also hungry. He hasn't eaten since stack 6. Since we named those stacks, he's just free farming it up, doesn't have anything else to eat. Drake is an Infernal coming up, possibly a 2-2 there for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and that is a big one. This might be where we see the teams really starting to fight, because if you are clutch gaming, yes, you can be kind of farming, yes, you can be holding it somewhat even, but you do not want to give a 2 Infernal advantage over to this team, especially as it's getting to 30+ minute mark, as people are building up a lot of AP and AD. If they can take this and keep it even, they can continue this style. But if they lose this team fight and give up this 4th Dragon, this 2nd Infernal, 200 Thieves, they're going to have a tough road ahead.
Yeah, potentially a fight over the Infernal Drake that may turn into a fight over the Baron, or
definitely the case.
Reward of the Baron, because right now everybody has every summoner up, so everybody's in a great spot to take these fights. Even though Cody Sun had blown his flash a little bit earlier, kind of the last thing we really remember happening action-wise, it was back up now, and now they're ready to fight again here. So I expect both teams to actually try and contest this, or 100 Thieves, Realm Warp into the pit. There they go.
Spot. Skarner was on, or LirA was on the Dragon. They're going to have
Solo
damage, but they're going to hop out. Remember, Abyssal Voyage is going to get them close. Ssumday very low.
There he is.
Do they want the tank? They'll take the Cho'Gath right away. Hakuho's in the front. Great help is on as he cleanses himself to safety. We're watching Solo, Febiven. Apollo goes forward. Oh, Febiven's in the fight. Shurima shuffles himself in. All very low. 300 HP between all the members of 100 Thieves. And Febiven makes their clutch play necessary to keep the game alive for clutch. Apollo's on the chase, but where do they turn? What can they get? Will it just be the Baron?
They can go straight to Baron because Meteos has no health. If he comes back, this is incredibly risky. No flash and about 5% HP. Apollo on the side.
Pretty low. Seraph's Embrace is on. He's got the damage, but Hakuho saves with the Devour. Now they're on it. 5,000 HP. Meteos on the other side.
The
flash
double Ocean
is
Dragon
down. He cannot flash it. Ocean Drake keeping him healthy. He could get
all
under over the wall. Cody Sun looking to get a piercing arrow. Does not get it in time. Baron goes to Clutch Gaming.
That's exactly what Clutch wanted. They read the play. They said, if we go Infernal, they're going to try to have Ryu be the getaway driver again, get right into the Baron pit, and they sniff it out, and they immediately counter.
And we saw how effective that Skarner ultimate actually was on Ssumday. He is split from the team. He gets pulled away. 5-man focus onto Ssumday there. And not only do they get the Baron, not only do they get the kills, they get the Infernal here too. So here it is once more, Ssumday split from the team.
Yeah, and Febiven was like already there catching the mid wave. Everybody is there right in time. It's not a split fight where one person's off on the side. They stun Ssumday, they pull him back in. The person that can't get out of the Skarner ult is the only person right there. Aphromoo forced to blow his flash because that would have been a 3-man there from Febiven.
Febiven just barely able to survive. The double Ocean Dragon actually becoming pretty impactful. If you look at Meteos' health here and Cody Sun's health, they actually regened up quite a bit, but because they didn't have the summoners, because they didn't have the ultimates, they couldn't actually get back in and rejoin that fight.
And now the shoe is on the other foot. The banner here is going to be so effective. There's no dematerializer on the side of 100 Thieves, and they also don't have a way to really reach it. Sure, Cho'Gath can nom it, but he can't reach it when it's got this extended range.
Games like this take everything, the offense and the defense, and now 100 Thieves has to figure out what part of the strategy book is this defense. Getting turned around at Baron in a very fast pace and now starting to lose a bit of the map. What they have in their favor is the lanes have not pushed up yet, but Clutch Gaming is still trying to make fast work and doing a damn good job of it.
You can see they still just don't have an answer for this. Ssumday wants to get close. And they're just pushing
more
away.
Shots, shuffles, and look at the damage! Aphromoo probably going down a few more hits. Right to the upright. Solo's got to stop the ultimate as he roars. And they're able to take down Aphromoo.
Ryu's not even here.
They may be able to solidify at 33 minutes in. Baron to Nexus. Clutch Gaming trying to go coast to coast, zeroing out 100 Thieves HP bars after it was a full 100 Thieves early game. They may not have everything here at the moment, but they're going to take their time, and like you said, I think a lot of this game has been measured, and now 100 Thieves tries to see how big Clutch can fight. Febiven very low, shuffles himself out, but there's the Realm Warp. They're in the flame, they're in the fire, and Clutch Gaming is starting to take a lot of damage. Apollo, though, eyes on him as he keeps hitting the right targets, prioritizing the victory, and possibly now the Nexus.
There's no Nexus turrets alive. I think that's going to be it. Aphromoo, I don't think he can defend this.
What a long fight. The extended fight in favor of Clutch Gaming. Cody Sun wiping his forehead as they prepare for Game 3. Clutch Gaming takes Game 2.
An impressive read there on what the macro was going to be for 100 Thieves, because their macro has been good. If you say they're going to do it by the book and you call them on it and have a team fight at the Baron with all 5 members there, that's something that's going to make this series spicy.
And we talked about in Game 1, yes, 100 Thieves played the game cleanly, but what happens if you lose that fight when you go to Baron? And this basically is that game if you lose that fight at Baron. This time, Ssumday is the one split away from the team instead of Solo, where he got isolated last time. Ssumday gets focused down. They lose the fight. They lose the Baron, and that was really it. I mean, Ryu was trying to split push. He was trying to push out waves, depending on the team to be able to hold on by themselves. But once Aphromoo goes down, once he's back late, there's nothing really left in the base to hold on.
And you have to consider, if that was anybody else other than Ssumday, they still have the Cho'Gath in the pit. They're still very high up in the advantage to get that Baron. But you saw them turn immediately saying, wait, this is not something we can do anymore.
Exactly. You're thinking Ssumday, he should have maybe been inside of the party portal there, inside of the Realm Warp to be on the Baron to give them the confidence to smite and feast it. But he was also there to kind of block Solo's ultimate, and whatever the call was, it went one way, and you have to kind of consider the other. Maybe it was better for him to take it, but that's kind of a micro mistake there for the team, and just getting everybody on the same page. It's something that 100 Thieves struggled with at the start of the split. And now if it starts showing up in playoffs, Clutch have a very real chance.
I love that you said micro mistake, because that's all it took Clutch to be able to get that game back in their favor. To get their thoughts on how Clutch Gaming picked up Game 2, let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Well, we had to flip this segment on its head with about 3 minutes remaining, because Clutch Gaming, they find the fight they need to even the series up at 1-1, taking down 100 Thieves with a sweet Baron fight and then a quick closing from that point onward.
Yeah, and with the draft, there was a big risk that 100 Thieves took here. They left up both Ryze and Azir, and Febi's going to first pick the Azir. It's his best champion for the arguably Clutch Gaming's best player, but they're doing it so that they can get Ryze, which is Ryu's best champion. So they're kind of trading out best champions, and it also plays into how those mid laners like to play a little bit.
There is logic there, but for Clutch Gaming, it seems like a return to comfort. You've got that Azir, but also the Skarner for LirA, Jack.
For sure. The bottom lane felt a little weird with the Ezreal Tahm Kench, but the rest of the map was super solid, and they eventually just kind of won that late game team fight. I know the casters were just talking about this a little bit. Game 1 was actually much closer than it felt afterwards, and I think this game was also much closer than it felt afterwards, because the early game, the level 3 3-minute Ocean Drake, fastest elemental Drake ever taken in the history of the North American LCS, gave 100 Thieves a pretty strong laning phase, and then they just kept playing around here.
Yeah, that was the big thing, is they went for this TP with the Ryze, but the other team has Tahm Kench and Sion. 3 champions can quickly get over and react, as well as the fact that they're already hovering around mid lane. Small miscommunication there. Apollo was working up on the carries in the top half of the river and did not follow up on Febi well, but they still managed to find the kills.
Yeah, and then they take that right through to the Nexus. And I want to talk about that Baron play a little bit more, because that was essentially how the game was decided. With an Infernal Drake up, would be the second Infernal Drake of the game for 100 Thieves. Essentially, they were like, we're going to use this Ryze pick to play around the map. So we already talked about Febiven and Ryu, best champion, and we got to see which one came out on top pretty much in that fight, because Clutch called the Ryze play so quickly. Febi was able to then dominate in the team fights, which is what's going to happen, Azir versus Ryze. Ryze has the split push and pressure, Azir has the team fights. And the fact that Clutch successfully found the team fight, I mean, they won the game.
The other thing to talk about, too, is Apollo on a mobile champion again. He looks completely different in team fights compared to that Ashe game where he got picked off a couple times. They're actually most damage in the game by 10,000 over his teammate in the Azir, who we're talking about, you know, this crazy late game champion. Well, with the poke that comes in from Ezreal, as well as the fact that he had some good team fights, you see how effective that pick was for him.
Close to essentially a 6K gold swing over the course of 3 minutes of game time. That's that Baron fight to close of the game. So good on Clutch Gaming for picking up the victory there, and I think that's where a lot of this idea of the mentality for Clutch comes back in, where we're weirdly mirroring their quarterfinal series, where they lose game 1, a bunch of stuff goes wrong at the beginning of game 2 in a sense, and yet they strike back and pick it up. And so we're kind of positioned similarly to where we were last week.
Yeah, and it's a little different for me because this felt like kind of classic Clutch Gaming, where it's like, oh, we're losing the game, and then we punish one mistake really, really, really hard because our defense is fantastic. Didn't feel like the TSM series where Hakuho's on fire and this guy's on fire and they're really working well. It still feels like they were losing this game, and they felt like they were gonna lose this game with the amazing Drake control. If 100 Thieves just said, you know, let's not get cute, let's just grab an Infernal Drake, and they played that game out slowly from there, I don't think you would have had...
Calm down.
I'm so angry!
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
I'm just saying, Clutch Gaming is not operating at the level we saw in quarters just yet.
Gotcha. All right, well, before the break, you tweeted us some of your overreactions, and here are a few that we wanted to discuss. First up, Iora NJ said firmly, Clutch will get 3-0'd if they don't ban Cho'Gath. They don't draft enough damage to deal with him.
This is why I don't use Twitter anymore, Dash. It's because you tweet something, and then it's there forever.
It's there forever.
I love it.
And you look like a dummy.
Yeah.
I love it. We put our opinions out there all the time. People throw it back.
Now you know what it feels like. Yeah. But so clearly they do have the ability to take down the Cho'Gath.
Yeah, if they don't
rely
ban
on the Azir.
then something will happen, but it's not going to be a 3-0.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Next up, Nathan believes 100 Thieves is going to 3-0 Team Liquid in Miami. So calling the victory here today and then saying that they will move on to 3-0 Team Liquid for the title.
I think it's definitely an overreaction based on how strong TL looked, based on the fact that this series still isn't over. It could happen.
It's a possibility, yes.
It's a take.
It's another tweet we probably collected before that Baron throw, you know, so.
If we give Jat like 15 minutes, he'll go do the math on that, and he'll come back to us with some more probabilities of that happening. Finally, Mean Mr. Keen, a young league fan, propositions that this 100 Thieves jersey is the greatest jersey in the history of LoL esports. That is a bold, bold claim.
Hard disagree.
I'm a hard disagree too. It's not even my place to throw in the overreactions. That's you guys, but I'm a hard disagree on this as well. You know,
they're nice. Don't get me wrong.
It's unique.
I think there's been worse jerseys by far, but like I don't really like baseball jerseys.
I'm not a exactly. It's
I wouldn't like
look is not my look.
I wouldn't want to see like a hockey jersey, like some guy coming out like, you know. I don't think just because it works in traditional sports.
You wouldn't want to see that?
No.
The guy like full pads and gear.
I think SKT is my favorite one. I like COG's USA.
COG's America USA jerseys.
CLG's USA's MSI were pretty sweet.
I like SKT's uniforms from last year.
I also just sometimes like
Gravity's
the more classic,
sweet leather
like Cloud9 and TSM have had some good classic jerseys. They just got nice color combos, if I'm being honest. Game 3 of 100 Thieves versus Clutch Gaming is coming up after the break. A reminder that after today's broadcast, stay tuned for the NALCS Civil War, where Jat and Kobe fight it out for pride and glory. Can't wait for that one.
I'll be there too.